She's Obsessed the podcast.
Yes.
I'm super excited to have you on because I know we have a ton to talk about. You've been killing it for forever, and I know that you've changed things a lot recently.
Yeah.
So become self-employed.
Yeah.
Been doing a ton of really, really important media appearances. Launched new initiatives, new platforms. You've just been doing the most, and it's amazing to witness. You did. So I want you to introduce yourself, and then we'll get into the conversation. As you know, the conversation surrounding self-love and what it means as far as self-image as a woman. So
I am Trina Nicole, and I am a influencer, a coach, a speaker. How I like to introduce myself.
Yes. And the platforms that you're a part of or have created
I have created Curlture UK, which is an empowerment platform celebrating natural hair, black beauty and black businesses.
There we go.
There is also the Curve Catwalk, which is the UK's first plus size dance class.
Can I tell you that? I didn't realise that was you, but I saw the videos everywhere and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about having you on the show anyway. And then Jamelia was like, yeah, you know, Trina's behind the Curve Catwalk. I was like, no way.
I'm not going to lie. I haven't, because I feel like it's not about me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't feel a need to necessarily put myself at the forefront right now.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of wanted to just let it grow. But yeah, I also started Influencer, which is a series of workshops that I launched with the Princess Trust. And that's helping women advance in their career and what career looks like to them.
Perfect. Yes. So what led you to create those different platforms? So Curlture, I think we're very clear on the absolute necessity of it.
Absolutely.
And I think the success of it has spoken for itself.
Yeah.
The Curve Catwalk, what led you down that path?
That was kind of, it's funny because it was as simple as I just wanted to dance.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to dance. I wanted to have fun with it. I just wanted to dance and have fun. And I was going to a lot of dance classes, but it was very much like almost training you to be like a professional dancer. The teachers are like, right, boom, boom, cat. And I was just like, I just wanted to dance and have fun. Like, it was so intense to the point where like I couldn't even keep up. And I'm just like, I just wanted to have fun. So there was that side of it. And the other side of it was kind of like times when I would go to dance classes that maybe were a bit more fun, or maybe focus on fitness, which was fine. It was very much like, oh my God, you can really dance for like a big girl. And I was just like, okay, and I know they mean it in a positive way, but it's that kind of thing of like, if I can dance, just say I can dance.
Yeah, it's like a backhanded compliment.
Do you know what I mean? One of those backhanded compliments, exactly. So I was just like, yeah, this is not cool. And I was just like, do you know what? I'm really bored of these kind of spaces. I just want to dance and have fun. I said to my friend, I'm just going to hire a studio for a few hours, just invite some curvy girls that I know down and just have fun. And I think the feedback I got from them, from that first session, was insane. I was literally like, I know I needed this because I wanted to have fun, but in terms of how they felt, just how empowered they felt, because I know a lot of people use that word like empowering, but the comments that they made back to me, I was like, okay, this can actually be a thing. So I just thought, I'm just going to do it once a month, just invite people down like once a month. It's not going to be a big thing. I'm just going to do it once a month just for a bit of fun and word of mouth. Because I didn't do any promo for it at all, and that's why people probably don't know.
I feel like the work spoke for itself because the videos are powerful.
Word of mouth. Obviously, you had social media, but I wasn't like doing some big promo. Do you know what I mean? And trying to get it into publication. Nothing like that. It was just word of mouth from people who had came before, telling their friends to come. And now we have like sessions of like 20 women. Now we're doing it like twice a month. Now we're going to Birmingham and doing it.
No way.
Yeah.
So you're literally taking it around the country.
Like, yeah, and this has all happened literally within a few months. And it was my friend that said to me, you know, nothing like this exists in the UK. And I had to stop and think, and I was like, okay, wait, this is really something. You know, when you just realise that this is a thing. So yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't no sit down with business plan and this one. No, it was just.
I love that when things just unfold naturally.
It just unfolded naturally, yeah.
So you create the choreography.
Yeah,
and you teach them.
The choreography, and it's now become like a workshop, like a dance workshop. So it's not on a fitness level or anything like that. You naturally your heart rate is going to increase. You're naturally going to burn calories. Like some woman showed me her little Fitbit. She'd burnt like over 800 calories in the class. You know what I mean? Things like that. So naturally that comes through it. It's just that's not how we promote it. So there's the workshop element to the class where I kind of, we do what we call heels in, because it's a heels dance class.
I have been looking for one of those for forever, because I'm determined to have my bridesmaids accompany me in one of those dances for my wedding, but
oh my God, yeah.
I can't, like, I've seen so many sick YouTube videos and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait.
To get it done.
But finding a class is like...
Yeah. That's not too intense. That's the thing. It's like, I couldn't find that medium. It was just like, the classes, there are some sick classes out there, but they were just like, there was all these professional dancers. I'm like,
it's intimidating if you don't come from
really
that.
Intimidating, especially if you're having to go to these dance schools and stuff. And I'm just like, I just wanted to dance and have fun. So, so because it's a heels dance class, we do something called Heels In, where we sit in a circle and have our heels in and just talk about our experiences and just ways you can like help other people. You know, sometimes just by sharing, it can be really powerful. So that is also incorporated into the dance class. So that's why it's more of a dance workshop. And we kind of have like themes. So like the theme that we had yesterday for our dance class was identity, and like how you, so we were doing Vogue inspired moves. So obviously the voguing, you're literally centering yourself in a frame. So it was that idea of like, how do you center yourself in your frame? What do you look like in your frame? We were having those kind of discussions. So it is definitely more than just a dance class. There's a lot more to it, which we probably don't show online, but there's a lot more to it. So
that sounds incredible. And leads me perfectly to my next question.
Yeah.
So you spoke about people centering themselves as part of voguing. What does it look like for you, and what were some of the responses that you heard yesterday about these women's experiences with their self-image, with self-love, and the way they feel within their own body?
Yeah, so I think a lot of pressures from social media, and that's real. Do you know what I mean? I know I hear people saying it a lot, but it's a real thing of that pressure to be a certain way, to look a certain way. And some people are almost like so amazed, but like, you are a bigger girl, but you're so confident with it, and how, because a lot of their experiences have just been like feeling really rubbish about themselves, their body, feeling really scared. So a lot of them to not just book a ticket, but to actually to show up. Was a big deal for a lot of the ladies that attend, to even be in the room. And I feel like a lot of the times I don't even need to do a lot of talking, just by the other people who are in the room, the women encouraging each other, that in itself gives them that bit of like, oh, okay, I can do this. Do you know what I mean? But I think overall the general consensus is just that they just don't feel like they're enough, basically. And I feel like a lot of people are trying to look like other people and focus on what other people are doing rather than focusing on themselves. And I feel like that sort of, I know self-love and everything's really big today. But that's another thing I always talk about. People can say that, like, yeah, practice self-love, but like, how, like, what is it like I actually need to do to sort of make that happen for me? So we were going around sort of sharing ideas of how people do that. For some people it's fashion, like how they dress actually makes them feel good. Obviously that's the exterior. So what about the interior? What are you doing? What's your like daily practice or your daily routine? What affirmations are you saying to yourself? You know, it's a lot of internal work that needs to be done as well. So yeah, we discussed all of that in the class. And then it's like, get up and shake your head. So yeah.
So what are some of the self-love practices that you have and that you adopt and practice daily?
Do you want to know my top one? My top one is sleep.
Amen. And that is one that I've adopted this year.
Honestly, I swear some people are like, what? Sleep? And honestly, like, just to feel rested, like fully rested, like my mind rested, my body rested. Sometimes to sleep. Sometimes I might be feeling a certain way, and instead of getting so caught up in like a snowball of my feelings and emotions, I actually just go to bed and sleep. And I wake up and I just feel almost like that reboot. Like I'm just like, okay, let me just start this again. Do you know what I mean? So sleep is honestly one of my biggest ones. But dancing, I think that's also why I just love everything about the curved catwalk, because that is self-care to me. And I think there's power in movement. So movement can actually affect how you feel. you know. So getting up, dancing, putting on your favorite song, even if you just dancing in your house, that can literally change everything about your physiology and then also your emotions.
Yes.
Read on it.
Yeah,
I'm telling
no,
you.
I've heard Tony Robbins say that, and he says something as
Yes.
simple as like smiling, even when
Yeah.
you don't feel happy, it has
Yeah.
an emotional and chemical
Honestly,
impact in your body.
100%.
So I completely agree with that. Even down to like going to the gym.
yeah.
I've noticed that the days that I don't go to the gym, I will get stressed out at like the smallest things. When I've been to the gym and I've actually moved my body,
Yeah.
I'm a completely different person.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, you can create a lot of like motion can create emotions. So yeah.
I love that.
So dancing for me, music is a very big part of my self care. So that ties in really well with the curve catwalk because it's dancing. So I'll say my top three. So yeah, sleep, dancing, and reading. Reading has become a big thing now, which sounds so funny. I never used to read a lot, but I do really enjoy reading now, and like actively reading, as in, so when I'm reading, I'm taking notes or I'm highlighting things, so not just flipping the page. I like actively read.
What are you reading at the moment?
The emotionally absent mother.
Oh,
yes,
who's
I'm
that
reading
by?
that. Who knows?
I'm pushing it, right?
Who knows? And that was just to do with a lot of like my childhood experiences and reading up about that. Just more about like why I am the way I am, why I think the way I think, my relationship with people. So yeah, it's taught me a lot, and it really goes hand in hand with my self-care, because then I think just in terms of my mindset and my just how I process things, what I thought to be true might not be true, looking at things a different way, that's really helped with just like my growth and my journey. So yeah,
I find that you're definitely one of the most beautiful souls that I've ever come across. But you're also someone who I feel like is very in tune with what they should be doing and following their purpose. And I feel like even doing that is an act of self-love, because doing what you truly love is a sacrifice a lot of the time, but it's also one of the biggest acts of self-love we can ever pursue. You recently became self-employed.
Yes.
How's that been?
Fine.
Yeah.
So far, yes. It sounds like you made it sound so easy just then, but it's been a process.
Yeah.
I was back and forth. So my background is in television. I've worked in broadcast television for 10 years.
Wow.
Freelancing as well. So I worked with all the major companies, and for ages I was like chasing names. I was chasing brand names. So I worked for the BBC and I was like, this is amazing. And then after that I was like, okay. Then I worked for ITV. Then I worked for Channel 4. And for me, personally, my top in the UK was Sky Sports. I was like, this is like huge. I got in Sky Sports, worked with Sky Sports for 3 years, and then I was there and I was like, oh, is this it? It wasn't fulfilling for me. And I realised I was just chasing status. Do you know what I mean? The clout, like, oh, I'm working here. I would literally just tell people, oh, I work for Sky Sports. Oh my God, that's amazing, blah, blah, blah. I could be a cleaner in Sky Sports. You weren't even asking me what I was doing. It was just, it was just the name. And I chased that for so long. And obviously, of course, with the money. And I really realised, and again, I heard people say this in terms of like, money isn't everything, all that kind of stuff. I heard it, but then I just had to experience it for myself. I feel like I had to go through that journey, because I was making good money. I was at a good, well-known company, and I was still just not happy. Do you know what I mean? And I just had to feel like I had to get to that point to then be like, no, I need to change direction. So it's really lovely actually that you pointed out that you sort of noticed that I'm sort of like following my purpose and stuff, because that was something that I was really conscious about. And I feel like I've definitely, things have come together now, and it's been quite recent. So it's almost, it's very new for me to actually speak about it, because I feel like I've only just kind of like really understood it and everything like that. But I knew for a while that my purpose was to serve others and to teach.
Yes.
And the funniest thing is I knew that, and I thought teaching as in like being in a school. So fun story. I actually went to you, and I'm just like, Jamelia, I'm going to be a teacher, so can you give me a reference?
I was like, cool, sis.
So you give me a reference, and I know that's why I believe in the universe and everything like that,
Happens
because
for a reason.
I got accepted onto the course, but I had to do like a few like exams and stuff like beforehand, and I had missed the deadline for those. So even though I got accepted, I didn't have the right stuff that I needed basically to actually enroll, so I couldn't do that course, and I was like, oh my god, I can't do it, what am I going to do? And obviously that's led me on to other things, but I was like, I knew I needed to teach, and I still view myself as a teacher. I'm teaching other people certain things, but not in a bloody classroom, Trina. Like, what are you thinking? That's not the kind of teaching you need to be doing. So that was a real learning curve for me, and I literally, that cracks me up every time that I actually thought I was going to stand up in front of kids and teach. Like, no. But yeah, so I knew that was kind of my purpose, to serve others and to teach. I didn't really understand how I was going to do that, and that's where the whole I was going to be a teacher thing came about. But yeah, it's definitely come into fruition, and I've definitely had some lessons along the way that's definitely made me feel like, okay, I'm on the right track. This is what I need to be doing, and it's fulfilling, and that was almost enough for me. I'm like, this is very fulfilling, and navigate to actually make money from it. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't turn back right now, because it's like I've been there and I know what it's like, and that's not what I want. So actually, like, you know, sink or swim kind of thing. And
yes,
and I can swim, so
you've been swimming. No, I think that's beautiful, and I love what you said about not having to be in a classroom to teach.
Yeah.
A similar story. My mum was a head teacher. My grandma was a teacher. So everyone was like, "You're definitely going to be a teacher," and I was like, "No, actually." But the funny thing is, I do like sharing experiences and helping other people learn based on what I've learned. But I think we all have a responsibility to teach once we learn. And I think that you've done that beautifully. And I think that it's been very brave of you to even decide to try to pursue teaching, because that's a complete 360 turn from what you were doing before.
Yeah.
And it takes guts to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going through this whole like internal battle of like, I don't want to be in television anymore. I don't want to be in production anymore. But everybody was telling me how amazing it is and how I've done so well. And I got to being a production coordinator at the age of 24. I don't know if anybody works in media, but it
sounds important. Very important.
That's a lot of responsibility. I was always the youngest person, and I just like shot up the ladder, obviously from working hard.
Yeah.
But and it was that kind of thing of like, oh my god, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've worked my butt off to get to where I am. Like, for me, I was like, oh my god, I'm working for Sky Sports. This is amazing. As a black woman, 25 years old, working Sky Sports, coordinating all the live rugby games, like, this is huge. I've worked so hard to get here. How can I just leave? Like, do you know what I mean? So there was almost that battle, that almost guilt of like...
That's what I was going to say. Did you ever feel guilty, like, so many people would want to be in this position and I'm about to give this up?
There was that whole thing of like, so many people would love to be here. Like, this is major, Trina. This is major. Why would you just leave? Why would you just leave? Funny thing is, I actually left twice and went back. I rebounded in my career. Like, I left twice. I left the first time. Let's rewind a bit. When it came to Sky Sports, I went for the interview. I didn't even get the job the first time. They were so impressed with me afterwards that even though I didn't get the job, something else came up, and they were like, came straight to me.
Ooh.
So I ended up getting in there anyway, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Worked there for about a year and a half, and I was like, yeah, I left, I travelled. They contacted me again, being like, we really want you back. And I was like, okay, cool, I want to go back. Went back, I left again, and they were like, oh, but Trina, just come back for a little while. And I was like, oh, okay. All right then. And I went back, and then after I was like, no, because every time I went back, I just wasn't happy.
Yeah.
I just wasn't happy. But there was that whole thing of like, it felt, I'll just be real, like, it felt good to be like, this is what I do. Oh, what do you do, Trina? Yeah, I'm working for Sky Sports. Like, just being real, it felt good. But then I started realizing that other people were happier for me than I was for myself. And I'm just like, big thing. That didn't even make sense. Like, yes. Me telling you that's where I work, you are happy, you're so happy for me, but then I wasn't even happy for myself. And that was the moment where I was just like, nah,
That is
happening.
exactly where I was. Like, same thing, in a really impressive job, getting paid well. And I remember having a conversation with my mum, like, I'm not enjoying this. I want to do something else. And she was like, do you know how long and how hard I worked to earn what you're earning now? And then I was like, oh my God, how can I be so ungrateful that my grandma came here from Jamaica. My grandparents came here from Jamaica with nothing. They built a life so that my mum could become a head teacher. She's worked so hard to earn a decent amount of money, and then I've earned it within 3 years, and now I'm ready to give up. But then it's like, maybe self-love, where I was like, I have to choose me over everyone else's happiness for
There you
me.
go.
Because, yeah, like, you can be happy for me, but I've got to wake up and go there every single day, and then put my soul through the torment of knowing that I'm not doing what I'm meant to be doing anyway. So no, I think that's a very good thing.
Exactly what you said. I chose me. So I left the career behind, and I was like, nah, this is just not fulfilling me in any way. This is not my purpose. And also I was like, so by this point I had already built Curlture, so I'm now doing Curlture at the same time as working at Sky Sports. And I was like,
I don't know how in the world you managed that.
I was like, how can I be coming here, putting in, because I'm a hard worker.
Yes.
How can I be putting in all these hours to build your dream, essentially, and I'm struggling to find hours to build my dream? Like, that does not make sense. Like, I'm putting in so much more for what you're doing than what I want to do. So there was a transition, because I always hear people talking about this, and I'm like, yeah, but how did you do this? So there was a transition in terms of, I reduced my hours. I started working from home. So that's how I did it. When I say working from home, child, I was not working from home. I was working on Curlture. So I can say that now in case anyone from Sky is listening. I was not working. But I would literally plan. I would be so strategic with it, and I would plan my week. So in 5 days of the week, Monday and Tuesday, maybe I'll bang out my work for Sky, like literally go ham on it, make sure all that's done. Because I would have like 3 live games every weekend. It was like on a rotation.
Wow.
So I would have to make sure everyone's like car sorted, everything coordination wise was sorted by Tuesday. I'll put that pressure on myself so that Wednesday, Thursday and Friday I could create content for Culture, go to meetings, film, like. So I started like rejigging my whole work pattern. I would only go into, I said to, when I went back a third time to Sky Sports, I said, I'm only going into the office once a week. I got to
it's brave to have that conversation.
I got to a position where I told them, like, this is what I will do, this is what I won't do, and if not, I'm not coming back. So I was lucky that I was in that position where like they needed me more than I actually needed them. So I took advantage of that, and I was like, well, I'm not coming in the office 5 days a week anymore. I'll come in once. Can you imagine me be like, I want to come in once, that's all you're getting? And they took it, so I was at home 4 days a week.
That's amazing.
So that was how I did it, and that was my transition. I didn't just literally up and leave. There was that transition, and then I got to a point where I was like, I don't need Sky, like I don't need you guys anymore. So I'm gonna do this, and within a year, 2018, just set up my other 2 businesses.
Amazing. I love that you spoke about the transition period, because that is one of my main frustrations, when you're like listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video and they're like, and I quit on this day and now I've got this business. And it's like, no, but is there evidence of the journey somewhere? Like, how can I find out what was going on in between? Because I was running TreasureTress before and after work until it got to the point where I was like, I can't do both. So I'm going to sink or swim, and I'm about to find out, and then took the leap. But yeah, I think the transition period is very important. And during that period, you need to mentally prepare yourself, financially prepare yourself, and emotionally prepare yourself for what you're about to endure, because it's like jumping off a cliff. And you don't know if your parachute is going to come out or not.
Absolutely. So going to the financial stuff as well, like I was working, so of course I had savings. Do you know what I mean? These things were planned and prepped. Like, you have to prep yourself. So as much as I could sit here and be like, I just quit my job. But I didn't just quit my job. Like I did the preparation. I had my finances. I had my savings. Do you know what I mean? I had the backup. I had things in place just to make sure. Do you know what I mean? There was all of that going on. It wasn't that simple. So I guess if I was to actually give a tip to anyone, maybe see the adjustments you can make with your workplace first before you just leave completely. Absolutely. So my adjustment was changing my hours and working from home. That was my adjustment before I did the big leap. So that might be a good step for somebody to take before they just up and quit.
Yeah, I think it should definitely be gradual because you need to prepare yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's a very, very big
And
change.
also like test the waters a bit. So
Yes.
when I had that time off, look at me. When I was working from home, I was testing the waters. That was me testing the waters. So
to see what it would be like.
So you're having a bit of a taste of what it would be like.
Yeah.
Because in that time I could have been like, well, this is too much work. Like I don't want to do this, you know. So I had the opportunity to test the waters before I literally did that. And also, as well as me saying that I left, I made sure that I still had the relationship. So how you
Very
leave how you leave is also important, because I could have done this and 2 months down the line, just not working, I need to go back.
Exactly.
I want to go back. And so knowing that the door,
can't burn the bridge.
Yeah, do not burn the bridge. Like the door is open for me if I did want to just be like, you know what, change my mind. So I know that I've always got that to fall back on. So yeah.
Cool. And then speaking about self-image as a form of self-love, do you have a very clear idea of the woman you want to become? And how different is that woman from the woman you are now, or a woman that you've been before?
Wow, Jamelia, that's a big question.
Sorry, boo.
Yes, so the woman, yes, 100%. So from the woman I was before, I'll start there. I was just going through a lot of like internal battles, and I specifically say internal battles because from the outside you might not see, you might not know, etc. And I don't necessarily blurt out my whole business, but I was having a lot of like, I was struggling with a lot of relationships with people in my family, etc. And I did a lot of personal development before my professional development.
Important.
Yeah, so the personal development had to be on point for me to actually even embark on this journey. So during my personal development, kind of, it looked like, so I did a course in NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. That honestly like changed my life. Sounds so dramatic, but it honestly just like changed my life, just my outlook on things, my relationships with people. That was huge for me. So that transition, there was a big transition in that moment from the woman I was to then I felt like I was growing into somebody else. Do you know what I mean? So I spent a lot of time on my personal development for myself. And that also gave me the bit of a nudge and the budge to be like, yeah, you need to be doing what you love and like actually doing something that's fulfilling, doing it for yourself, not for other people. And I was almost really aware and conscious at the time. I was thinking, gosh, I feel so selfish. I was starting to feel really selfish in things that I was doing. And then I don't know, I was just like, Trina, it's not selfish, it's self-full. Like you are literally putting yourself first. And I can honestly say from the moment I did that, it's just, everything's just blossomed from that moment. Yeah. So I can't stress enough how important it is to actually choose you. That's been a really big part. So there was that transition, and that was the transition. NLP really helped me through that transition. And so who I am now, and then looking forward to who I kind of want to become, I'm really aware of my influence, and sort of thinking a lot about what that means to me. So I know people use the word influencer and they just think, oh, just that person on Instagram. But for me, I was also like, okay, I don't want to be that person that's just known for big hair, or do you know what I mean, just for culture. It's like, or that girl from Culture, do you know what I mean? It's like, I want people to know Trina and who Trina is. So personal branding also plays a really big part in that. So in terms of how I brand myself, when somebody talks about me, how are they talking about me, not just that one thing. And I'm multifaceted. We are multifaceted as humans. So I think I would say I'm aware that I have a lot of influence, and I want people to know me just for how I have helped them, not for like what I'm doing for myself.
That's beautiful.
So and actually I can't even take credit for that, because that's something that my uncle Cyril Regis was all about. So in his passing, sadly, in 2018, it's always funny because, you know, when someone passes, all of a sudden you hear all these stories come out, and the stories that came out about him and how he had affected people and literally changed people's lives was just amazing. And that influenced me so much. I was so inspired because to me, I'm like, he was just my uncle. So hearing people's stories and how he had influenced them, etc., and just inspired them, I was like, I want to be that person, because people will not only know him as a footballer. He was one of the first Black British footballers, for anybody who doesn't know. So yeah, it was nice that people weren't just like, oh, Cyril Regis the footballer. It was like Cyril Regis the pioneer, like the, do you know what I mean? It was more than just that. So that really has inspired me as well, and just encouraged me to do a lot in terms of like self-love and just putting myself first. Yeah.
That's good. And any tips that you would give to, so you gave like your 3 self-care top tips. Any 3 tips you would give to women that are like struggling with self-image, struggling with self-esteem, and even struggling with the path that they're following in life?
Yeah. I would say, so it starts with your mindset, of course. I definitely had a big shift in my mindset. I think you have to take some responsibility in terms of, I knew that I had to kind of be a bit extreme with what I had to do to change my mindset. So that's why I ended up paying like how many hundreds of pounds to do this course. That's what I had to do, because I know I needed that real big impact. Some people might just read one book and that's enough for them, but I know I needed a bigger impact. I needed to surround myself with people who were kind of feeling the same or on the same journey. I needed that tribe. That's what I needed. Some people don't necessarily need that. So on the back of that, I would maybe say find your tribe, because that really helped me. So find your tribe. I would also say somebody who was struggling, just to it's quite a lot. I'm trying to think what's more valuable. I would maybe just say to just think about what's important to you. I think there's so much out there that people worry about and people think about that's not actually important. Do you know what I mean? So what's actually important to you? So for some people who might be struggling with how they look and how they're feeling, maybe the fact is, even though they might be feeling insecure about their weight or something, like maybe their health is actually really important to them. So maybe focus on your health, just being healthy, rather than I need to go on a diet and I need to lose weight and I need to look this kind of way. Maybe it's just about your health. Maybe that's what is actually important to you. So that's another thing I would say. Think about what's actually important to you. And listen, again, going back to my uncle, life is precious. You have one life. Like, literally, don't be letting the years go past where you're like, I really wanted to do this, I should have done that, worrying about stuff. Like, live your life, like be present and live your life. So that is just really implemented in my life right now. Like, live. So yes, for sure.
I'll ask you something, sorry. How do you keep up with self-care, and you are now managing 3 different platforms, working on so much?
Yeah. I've learned to say no. I think that's something I've learned to say no. So I feel like I was always saying yes to everything. Like, can you come here? Can you do this? Or can you help me with this? Can you? And sure, yeah. And I realized actually that's not actually really being that productive. And for myself, I am now drained. So I now can't be effective in what I need to do and what I want to do. So learning to say no. And once I did learn to say no, it was then learning to say no and not having an excuse behind it.
Yeah, like no is a full sentence.
Yeah, absolutely. No is a full sentence. And that's because I'm tired, I'm drained, or I'm working on my own stuff right now. Can't help you. No. That's it.
And not feeling guilty.
And not feeling guilty. And again, that was something I had to practice. So that's definitely how I can juggle all those things, because I've learned to say no to certain things, because I'm going to dedicate time to this. I'm also like a master planner of stuff, so I'm like note-taking, scheduling. I'm really good with time management. Time management is a thing, like that's something people need to learn. If you're not good at it, to learn it. So also to treat if you're starting a business, to treat your business how you would if you were working for somebody, like, why is it that you go into a job and you act a certain way and do certain things and make sure that's done, but then when it comes to your own, you don't apply those, you're just being slack. Like, no, like, I make sure, you know, I work from my house at the moment. I am up, dressed, ready, breakfast. I'm starting work at 9 o'clock. That, you know, I have the option to get up at 12 o'clock if I want to. That's not what I'm trying to do. Like, I wouldn't go to an employer and just rock up at 12 o'clock. So why am I doing that for myself?
Yeah. You
so,
have
you
to
know,
show up for yourself.
Show up for yourself, 100%.
You spoke about time management, which I love, because time is very precious, as we both know. And I feel like we can get into the habit of not respecting time if you haven't had certain things happen in life, or if you're just not of the mindset of how important time is. Are there any tools or any tricks that you have up your sleeve that you're like, right, this is my weekly planner that I use all the time. I exhaust my calendar. I use this app. Is there anything that you use or any resources for time management that you would recommend?
Okay, so I, social media wise, I use Hootsuite, which is, hopefully people have heard of it, but you can schedule your posts in advance. So that's something that can help me a lot. Like, and it sends it out automatically. So there's some I know that's out there that you might schedule it, but then you still have to go into the app and actually post it. So that does it automatically. So that's really helpful for me. My diaries are like synced up. So even though I've got different email accounts, etc., my diary is completely synced up. And also, one thing I've learned about with my diaries, I make sure that so events I have or meetings I have, like, the information and stuff is actually in the diary, the calendar invitation and stuff. Like, everything's there, so I'm not then having to waste time like trying to track back the emails. Honestly, oh god, I'm learning. I was like, no, things need to be in the diary.
Ready available.
Click, it's there, because I was spending so much time like going back. What did she say? Like, so having that. I am very big on, for me, I like to write things down. I'm very big on like color coordinated and all that kind of stuff. Like, so I feel like actively writing also helps me to remember things. That's just me, as opposed to like typing all the time. So those little things, if it works for you, or if you're a visual person, then have things there on, like, you know, when you wake up, you know, you see it. If you know that that's how you learn best, or that's how you work better, make sure you actually implement those things. I know for me, it's much better for me to write things down and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I do more than like typing things up. You know, so work to your strengths as well. And like I said before, set your own deadlines. Set deadlines for yourself.
And hold yourself accountable to them.
Absolutely. Hold yourself accountable.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Tree. Can you let us know where we can keep up with you? And I want to know about all the next Curve catwalks, what Curlture are doing next, and influencer.
Gosh, I've got a
up.
whole list. So, I mean, my personal Instagram is it's Trina Nicole, at it's Trina Nicole. And then my brands is Curlture UK on Instagram, The Curve Catwalk on Instagram, and Influence Her on Instagram. And I also have my own website, which is trinanicole.com.
Brilliant.
More about that.
Amazing. I saw you mention Linktree in one of your captions the other day.
Yeah, no, that was just because I was just like, well, I'm actually doing a lot right now, so
I need everything to be in one place.
Everything in one, so that's something that, this whole idea of having a portfolio career is something that I'm really like an advocate for. And that's sort of tied into the workshops I was doing with the Princess Trust. It's all about like how you can have multiple streams of income to actually shape your career. Because I used to think like when I was younger, people talking about a career, you know, sitting in an office, 9 to 5, that's what a career is. So it's this whole like, it's a new way of working. Do you know what I mean? Like people, so I quit my job to do this, but people might not necessarily want to quit. Maybe you just want to go freelance and still work on your other ventures and have these multiple streams. That's you having essentially like a portfolio career. And that's what I have, and that's what I have to list through the other stuff. So trinanicole.com will basically showcase my portfolio career, if that makes sense.
Amazing.
So
cool. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you for having me. It's been great. Thank you.
And we'll catch up again soon.
Thank you very much.